All right, this is YouTubers that became murderers.
Suzanne Eaton was a 59-year-old American scientist who was working as a professor of molecular biology in Dresden, Germany. A big part of her job at this institute was to travel around the world and hold conferences on the latest developments in her field. In July of 2019, she traveled to the scenic Greek island of Crete for one of these conferences.
I wonder if I'm going to recognize
that this was
anybody.
Going to be her last, and that the person responsible for her end would be caught because of his videos on YouTube. The incident happened on July 2nd, when after a conference, Suzanne...
Are these going to be like big YouTubers, or are these going to be like really niche YouTubers who have like a couple of views on YouTube? There's a big difference, I think.
And spent time with her peers and played the public piano in the venue's lobby before saying her goodbyes and heading out to her hotel in the afternoon. Sadly, this was the last time anyone saw Suzanne alive. Her coworkers noticed her absence when she didn't show up for the second conference scheduled for 6 p.m. that evening. It wasn't like her to skip events out of the blue. Something wasn't right.
You know what I always wonder is, like, when somebody goes missing, how long do you think it would be for somebody to recognize or to think that something bad has happened to them? I would think, like, if I went missing, it would take a while for people to start to think that like something actually bad happened to me. They'd probably just think my phone died or something like that. If you're on like a regular schedule, like what if you just slept in for like 6 hours, took like a 6-hour nap? Do you think people would think you were dead or something? Or do you think they would just be like, okay, I'm just going to give it like one more day?
A fact that became increasingly clear when over 24 hours passed without anyone hearing from her.
Okay, 24 hours is a lot.
Her colleagues called the police to check on her, hoping she was simply sick or something similar. However, when officers arrived at her hotel room, no one answered the door. They acquired a spare key from the hotel management and went inside, only to find the room completely empty and undisturbed. All of Suzanne's belongings were also still in the room. The only things missing were her running shoes and a set of exercise clothes. Suzanne was also an athlete at heart. She was a double black belt in Taekwondo, and despite her age, loved going on a run every day. Knowing this helped investigators narrow down what might have happened to her. Put simply, she likely went on a run soon after returning to her hotel on July 2nd, and something went wrong after that. She wasn't super familiar with the area, and to make matters worse, the weather was uncomfortably hot that afternoon. There was a strong possibility she collapsed from the heat or something else along those lines. After putting this together, the Crete police immediately dispatched a search and rescue team in the area surrounding her hotel and around popular running trails. Unfortunately, Suzanne was nowhere to be found. That is until 5 days later, on July 8th, when two young men were exploring one of the abandoned World War II Nazi bunkers scattered across Crete.
Oh, didn't expect her to be here.
One of them noticed a piece of burlap covering something on the ground. The burlap was covering the bloody remains of Suzanne Eaton.
Oh.
A later autopsy report discovered that Suzanne had several broken ribs, multiple fractures throughout her body, a missing ear, and much, much more. Whatever happened to her certainly was not an accident. The investigators began searching for clues, and fortunately it didn't take long for them to make their first major breakthrough: a set of car tire tracks leading up to the entrance of the bunker. Analyzing these tracks allowed investigators to find the car responsible for transporting Suzanne's remains.
Oh man, I know this is like a poor time to mention this, but that unibrow is crazy, almost legendary even. I mean, that's like I don't know if I've seen one that complete before. Let's check this out.
Analyzing these tracks allowed investigators to find the car
that's something
responsible
else
for transporting Suzanne's
That's
remains
better than
to
Anthony
that bunker.
Davis.
It belonged to 27-year-old Yanis Paraskakis, a local sheep farmer. But when questioned, Yanis feigned ignorance and claimed that him driving through that area on that day was nothing more than a coincidence. He went as far as to say that he didn't even know about the existence of that bunker, a lie that would eventually lead to his arrest. You see, Yanis had a dream to become a successful YouTuber.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. He had a dream to become a successful YouTuber. 257 subscribers. Like, you can't say that this guy is a YouTuber. I feel like to be considered a YouTuber, you have to be like making money from it, you know? Like, yeah, if you're going to say these are YouTubers who became murderers, I wouldn't say somebody who had a YouTube channel with 257 subscribers counts as a YouTuber who committed a murder.
Began posting videos. However, if you go to his channel today, all you'll find are 3 videos of him performing an ancient Chinese martial art and meditation technique called Qigong. That's because a couple days before Suzanne's body was discovered, Yanis deleted every other video on his channel. And once authorities recovered some of these deleted videos, it became clear why. You see, most of these deleted videos involved Yanis exploring abandoned World War II bunkers, including the one where Suzanne's remains were discovered. As it turned out, the land where this bunker was located was owned by Yanis's family. Investigators also found traces of Suzanne's blood in his car's trunk. When confronted with this evidence, Giannis cracked and told the whole story. According to him, he saw Suzanne running down the road and something came over him. He hit her with his car twice before putting her in his car, driving to the bunker, and ending her life there. However, there's evidence to suggest that Giannis might be a full-blown serial killer. For instance, he was apparently detained by the police twice before, once for arson and once for animal cruelty, both of which are well-known early behaviors of serial killers. After his arrest, several other women also came forward, testifying that he had tried to run them over with his car as well in the past. So, Suzanne was more than likely not his first victim.
That's crazy. Imagine you're just going for a run and then somebody tries to run you over with their car. That's what I always think about, is like, if you're walking on the side of the road, it would be so easy for somebody to just turn the wheel over and just directly hit you and target you. There's nothing really stopping anybody from making that decision.
However, the most solid evidence against Giannis is in one of the deleted videos he uploaded to YouTube. In it, we can see him showing some very human-looking bones scattered throughout the same bunker Suzanne was discovered in. These bones were never discovered by the authorities, suggesting they might have been removed by Giannis to hide evidence. But what makes this truly disturbing is what his friend says at one point in the same video. This roughly translates into, "Is this where you left that old guy?" Insinuating that Giannis had disposed of one of his previous victims in the same bunker before. And
how do serial killers find friends like that? Like, how do they have friends who are just as weird as they are? Like, how common is it to be a serial killer and just find somebody who completely has the same lack of morality as you and is just like your sidekick, basically? That's crazy to me. Like, when you hear those stories of friends doing a killing together, I feel like one couldn't just influence the other. They both have to just start off as pretty weird people.
Simply Manic 6075 was a YouTube channel owned
we're
and
up
operated
to
by
5.7K.
Samantha Wolford. She lived in the small community of Monticello, Texas with her husband Ernest Lee Ibarra, aka Ernie, and their 5 children.
Still wouldn't count it, but
she usually made videos about her day-to-day life and other random topics. Her story began in 2008 when she was at the lowest point of her life. She'd recently become the single mother of a pair of twins and had no love interest in her life. That's when she met Ernie at a local tattoo shop, and the two hit it off right from the get-go, eventually getting in a relationship and starting a family together. In one of her videos, Samantha described the day she met Ernie as the happiest day of her life. Together, they were blessed with 3 more children, including 1 more pair of twins. Raising 5 kids was a challenge, but Ernie made it work by taking a second job in pizza delivery. So, while they had endured tough times together, Samantha, Ernie, and their 5 children appeared to be the perfect loving family. However, while being a stay-at-home mother was all she could do at the time, Samantha still had a dream of becoming a famous actress one day.
I've always wanted to be an actress.
So, in October 2010, she created her YouTube channel and started posting videos, hoping to become a popular YouTuber and fulfill her dream on the internet instead. And things were going surprisingly okay in the beginning. Samantha would post new videos whenever she had something new to say, but as time passed on, her passion for making videos turned into an obsession. But then, after posting a seemingly random video in March of 2014, Samantha mysteriously vanished from the internet. Maybe she lost interest in YouTube or just wanted to focus on her family again. No one knew exactly why she quit so abruptly. Then, on the 20th of February 2015, viewers finally received the update they were waiting for. Unfortunately, it was far more tragic than anyone could have imagined. It started with the Texas police receiving a call from one of Samantha's aunts asking them to save her niece's life.
Cause County 911, what's your emergency? I have a home invasion. My niece is tied up.
God.
I am at the verge of untying my niece at this particular moment.
Okay, she's tied up.
She is tied up and gagged.
And gagged? Is that what
Yes, ma'am.
Is there anybody else there?
Where are the kids? We have 5 small infants asleep.
Apparently, 3 masked men broke into their home in the middle of the night and attacked the couple while they were asleep. The intruders then tied Samantha in her bedroom and after hitting him with a gun a few times, kidnapped Ernie. Samantha somehow managed to get her ties loose enough to call her aunt, who then contacted the police after arriving at Samantha's home herself.
Why not call the police
officers
first?
Arrived, Samantha's aunt had set her free from the restraints. The kids were fortunately safe as well. However, what made this whole situation strange was that the intruders didn't take anything else from their home besides Ernie. And from the people who knew him personally, Ernie wasn't the type of guy to make enemies with dangerous people. Put simply, investigators sensed something fishy with the whole situation. But all that
Oh,
paled in
no.
comparison to the main objective, which was to save Ernie
She
as
offed
soon as
Ernie.
possible. But what none of them expected was that Samantha would change up her story completely after entering the interrogation room. Where before she didn't know anything about the assailants, now she had the name of a potential suspect, John Rebel. As Samantha's story goes, she was talking to her friend about Ernie's supposed attacks on Samantha, when suddenly a man with the pseudonym John Rebel overheard their conversation and started talking about how a man shouldn't treat a woman that way and that he was going to handle the situation. Well, as it turned out, the name John Rebel actually belonged to someone, a man named Jonathan Sanford. The police found and arrested John not long after Samantha gave out his name, right alongside his two accomplices, Jose Ponce and Octavius
Oh
Ramos.
no, it was real?
Surprisingly, Jonathan put up little to no resistance and immediately confessed to kidnapping Ernie. He also confirmed the worst possible outcome, that by the time the police got involved, Ernie was already dead. The three took him to
Oh
a
my
secluded
God.
forest and executed him with one shot to the back of his head. However, even after learning all this, one question remained. Why? Why would three men who didn't
she
even
get
know
him
Ernie
to do
kidnap
it?
him
How's
from
she
his home like
connected?
that? Every answer to this question pointed back to Samantha, who kept denying any involvement. Even if the investigators ignored her suddenly remembering the perpetrator's name, there were several other suspicious aspects to her story. Like, how was she able to untie herself enough to call her aunt?
Right.
Why didn't any of her neighbors hear the break-in? And why were the kids all sleeping in the same room when usually they're scattered throughout the house? It wasn't long before investigators uncovered undeniable evidence of her direct involvement. This included instruction messages.
That's the thing. It's like, if you're in that position, why get somebody to kill your husband rather than just getting a divorce or something like that? I don't understand why you need him out of the picture in that way. Choose to separate from that relationship rather than hiring three people to come and kill your husband or boyfriend. That's crazy.
When the officers were trying to call Ernie's phone, which he had on him. These read, "Kill his phone, shut that down, ditch phone, move." There was no doubt about it at this point. Samantha was in colluding with her husband's killers. And as the investigation went on, the real story came out as well. Samantha had apparently become addicted to the idea of becoming a famous YouTuber, and her neglect of the kids became a constant source of fighting between the couple. But instead of resolving the issue like a responsible adult, Samantha colluded with her friend's boyfriend to hatch a cartoonishly evil scheme to get rid of Ernie. She was eventually sentenced to 149 years in prison for killing her own husband, leaving her 5 children completely orphaned.
149? I don't think I've ever heard of that before. 140, that's
successful
crazy.
technical writer living in the town of Carlsbad, California with her husband Greg Mulvihill. However, while her corporate job paid the bills, Diana's true passion was becoming a triathlon athlete and documenting her journey on video, resulting in her eventually starting her own fitness blog called Lovejoy Fitness and a YouTube channel by the name of Heavy DJ. She started this channel all the way back in 2008 and over the years used it to document various parts of her life. From meeting her parents after a long time to going scuba diving with her husband. At one point, she even tried to become a cooking show host of sorts.
Just trying everything.
That smells nice.
Unfortunately, her channel never really took off, forcing her to eventually cut her losses and move on with her life in March of 2012. Or at least that's what it looked like from the outside. In reality, Diana's reason for abandoning her YouTube channel was kind of wholesome. You see, Diana and Greg had been trying for a baby for years by this point. Tragically, Diana had suffered 8 different miscarriages and was quickly losing hope. But then in September of 2012, the two were blessed with a perfectly healthy baby boy, marking an end to their struggle. However, what should have been a moment of celebration started a downward spiral of lies and betrayals, eventually culminating in an assassination attempt. Things started going downhill when just a few months after the birth of their son, Greg lost his job, leaving Diana as the sole breadwinner. The stress of the previous miscarriages, combined with the crushing weight of having to support a family in an extremely expensive city all on her own, spelled disaster for their marriage. It wasn't long before the two were constantly fighting with each other. Things escalated even further on July 9, 2014, when Greg returned home only to see a police officer waiting for him at the door. The officer explained that Greg wasn't allowed to enter his own home because, as it turned out, Diana had accused him of attacking both her and their son.
Oh, that's crazy. That's so evil. To like turn the authorities against your significant other like that, to lie about them attacking your children, that's insane. That's pure evil.
Nearly 2-year-long divorce mediation, during which the investigators found no evidence supporting Diana's accusations, allowing Greg to get a 50-50 custody of their son. Diana was also ordered to pay $120,000 as a part of their divorce settlement in late 2015. But before the divorce could be finalized, Greg received a phone call from an anonymous number that changed everything. The voice on the other end claimed to be a private investigator Diana had hired recently. And according to this investigator, he already had solid proof of the attack claims Diana had made against Greg. But for some unknown reason, he wanted to help Greg win the case, so he claimed to have left the documents taped to a power pole located on a small hiking trail near Greg's home. Greg naturally found this whole thing pretty suspicious and decided to take one of his friends with him to the pole on the night of September 4th, 2016. Sadly, despite his suspicions, he failed to grasp the true intentions of the strangely helpful private detective.
Hello, this is 911.
Yeah, my friend has just been shot.
Do you know who shot him?
There's a guy lying down like a sniper.
A sniper? Did you see him at all?
Briefly, we saw the gun, and he shot at us like 6 or 7 times.
When Greg reached the pole, a sniper opened fire on him, shooting him clean through the chest. Fortunately, the bullet missed his heart by mere inches, giving him a second chance at life. By the time the police arrived, the shooter had already fled the crime scene. But a quick survey of the area allowed the investigators to uncover a pair of towels the shooter left behind. Running a DNA test on these towels led to a man named Weldon McDavid, Diana's shooting instructor. Weldon tried to deny any involvement at first.
That's crazy. Why would you even do that as somebody who's not even related to the situation? Be a hitman for hire or something? I'm assuming she paid him. And also to be a shooting instructor, how are you not going to get caught? How is that not the most obvious suspect in this situation? Somebody who has access to the guns that they used to try to kill him.
As after a thorough search, investigators were able to find another set of the same towels at Diana's place as well. They had also received CCTV footage of Diana buying the burner phone Weldon later used to lure Greg into the secluded area. Most importantly, investigators also found the gun Weldon used on Greg, hidden in the rafters of his garage. By this point, it was clear that Diana was the one who wanted to get rid of Greg, likely to avoid paying the divorce settlement and keep full custody of her son. Diana and Weldon were arrested for the attempted assassination on Greg Mulvihill and tried for their crimes in November 2017. Both were found guilty, with Diana
Look at that face. She's looking like, oh, she's like, what?
For their crimes.
What? Like, what's going on? What's going on? When she's the mastermind behind it all, like, look at that face. She's like, what? Like, what? What? Somebody tried to kill my husband? What? No, it wasn't me.
Guilty, with Diana sentenced to 26 years to life and Weldon to
she just went limp.
years to life.
She just went limp.
The only silver lining in this entire case is that Greg was able to make a full recovery and is now living with his son.
Here we go. I guess the moral of the story is, if you're going to murder somebody, don't become a YouTuber. Yeah, I'll see you guys on the next one. Thank you for watching.